video lecture number 14, 2.1 Song of the Open Road by the poet Walt Whitman. Hello dear friends and dear students. In my last video lecture, I discussed the margin activities and the figures of speech in the poem Song of the Open Road by the famous American poet Walt Whitman. Today too, I will continue with the same poem and I will discuss the brainstorming section and the poetic appreciation of the poem Song of the Open Road. So friends, open your textbook of English and see the brainstorming section on page number 95, or you can also read all these activities in the brainstorming on the screen in front of you. But before that, I would like to remind you that you have to study the poem line by line at home twice, thrice, and then solve the activities given in the poem or below the poem in brainstorming section. Now let's start with the brainstorming section. The first activity is A1 activity, and the first activity from it is pick out the lines showing that the poet is prepared to enjoy every moment of his journey. Now here you will have to pick out the lines which show that the poet is prepared to enjoy every moment of his journey. And these lines are, I tell you the lines. Number 1, the line, afoot and light-hearted I take to the open road. Number 2, healthy, free, the world before me. Number 3, the long brown path before me, leading wherever I choose. Number 4, henceforth I ask not good fortune, I myself am good fortune. Number 5, henceforth I whimper no more, postpone no more, need nothing. Number 6, done with indoor complaints, libraries, querulous criticisms. Number 7, strong and content I travel the open road. Number 7 is strong and content I travel the open road. And the last line, number 8, I do not want the constellations any nearer. Now next activity, by old delicious burdens the poet means. Now here 4 options are given, A, B, C, D. A, the luggage. B, the food he carries. C, the stress he bears during the travels. And D, sweet memories of the past. And here you will have to find out the correct meaning of this phrase old delicious burdens? And its answer is D, sweet memories of the past. Now the next activity, that is activity number 3. The poet is a person who is free from all inhibitions. Discuss how the concept of freedom is expressed in the poem. Now, the answer to this activity, I give you the answer of my own. Freedom means to be free from restrictions and limitations and having own control. The poet is about to start on a journey. He doesn't consider anything that can restrict him. Even his own hesitations or doubts will not restrict him. He says he is prepared, afoot, and light-hearted. He is physically fit and mentally fit without any dilemma. He is all set to follow the road to his dream or destinations, healthy and free. He does not depend on a good luck or a good fortune to be kind to him. The poet wishes himself as he should be the in charge of his own actions, and the poet himself controls his journey. He himself only is the in charge of his life, his destiny, his actions, his decisions, and the consequences in his life. He says, I ask not good fortune, I myself am good fortune. Now, please turn on the page and see the activities on the next page, that is page number 96. A2 activity. The first activity from A2, number 1. Following are the activities of the poet related to his journey on the road. Divide them into two parts as activities the poet will practice and activities he will not practice. Here some of the 8 activities are given, and you will have to classify them. The activities are into two groups, like the activities that poet will practice, and other group, the activities the poet will not practice, with reference to the poem, because all these activities that you have to classify are related to his journey on the road that is described in the poem. Now, First, I tell you the activities the poet will practice. A. Walking along the road, though he does not know where it reaches. Second one. E. Carrying the fond memories of the good people. Number 3. G. Striving to achieve high and bright success. H. Reflecting and developing his own self. Now, activities he will not practice. B. Complaining about the discomforts during the journey. C. Postponing the journey. D. Praying for good fortune. And F. Creating contacts with famous and influential people. Now let's go for the next activity. Number 2. Write down the traits the poet exhibit through following lines. One is done for you. Here you are given one line from the poem and you will have to point out the personality trait, the characteristic feature of the personality of the poet that is revealed in that line or indicated in that line or that line shows. One is done for you, A, or A is done for you, that is, henceforth I ask for no good fortune, I myself am good fortune. And the personality trait of the poet revealed in this line is self-confidence. Now B. Henceforth I whimper no more, postpone no more, need nothing. The answer is positive, punctual, self-reliant and contented or satisfied. Now see, I do not want the constellations any nearer. Answer, self-assured and independent. D. I swear it is impossible for me to get rid of them. Clear thinking and knowing his mind. Its answer is clear thinking and knowing his mind. E. I am filled with them, I will fill them in return. Answer, aware and honest about himself. Now let's go for the next activity, and the next activity is number 3. Healthy, free, the world before me. Express your views regarding the above line. Now I give you the answer. Answer, the poet is about to start a life's journey. He has healthy body and healthy mind. He feels strong enough to face the challenges on the way of his life. His attitude seems positive, hopeful, and determined. He said, the world before me, showing this. So here we can say that he is ready to make use of every opportunity the world can provide to him, and he will not delay or complain or postpone or criticize and blame others. He will make his own dreams come true. This line also means that the world before him, where he leads the life, is healthy and free. It is another meaning of this line. Means the world is very supportive and offers him unlimited opportunities in his life to fulfill his dreams. Now, the next activity, that is A3. A3 activity. The poet has used many describing words such as healthy in this poem. Make a list and classify them as A for the world, B for himself, C for the road. Here you will have to find out the words that describe it, or the describing words that describe these given words from the poem, or you will have to find out the words that describe these three given words in this activity from the poem. Now A for the world, I tell you the answer. A for the world, healthy, comma, free. For himself, B for himself, answer, a foot, light-hearted, a foot, comma, light-hearted, comma, good fortune, comma, strong, comma, content. Then C for the road, answer, open, comma, the long brown. Now let's go for the next activity. The next activity is A4 activity, and it is about the figure of speech paradox. And I had already explained this activity when I explained you the figures of speech from this poem in my earlier video lectures. So I don't want to repeat it and waste my time. So let's go to the next activity. So see on the next page, that is page number 97. You can listen my earlier videos and you can get the ample of information and knowledge about this. Then again, the next part of this activity is also as I explained about paradox, that is on page number 97. Now let's go for the second activity here on this page. The road in the poem does not mean this activity, only the road to travel. The poet wants to suggest the road of life. Explain the metaphor with the help of the poem. Now I tell you the answer. The answer, the journey of the poet in this poem is metaphorical. It indicates the journey of life itself. The open road that the poet takes and starts his journey suggests the road of life. As the poet is well prepared and light-hearted or cheerful while beginning his journey, we must also be well prepared and cheerful while taking the road of our own life. as the poet is very positive, optimistic, punctual, satisfied, and makes no complaints while making his journey. Likewise, it suggests us that we should also be very positive, optimistic, punctual, satisfied, and never make any complaints and blame others in our life regarding our inactions. In this poem, the poet himself controls his own journey, which suggests us that in our life too, only we should be the in charge of our life, our destiny, our actions, our decisions, and the consequences in our life. As the poet is strong enough to face the obstacles and the difficulties in his journey, likewise, it indicates us that we should also be strong and face the obstacles and difficulties in our own life. Now, to the next activity, it is about free verse. Now, I would like to remind you that in my earlier video lectures, I had already explained you in detail what is free verse, what are its features, and what is the difference between free verse and blank verse. So now I don't want to take it and waste my time. Now let's go for the next activity, and this is activity number 4. Now see, activity number 4 is there are certain words that are repeated in the poem. For example, no more in line 7. Find out other similar expressions and explain the effect they have created in the poem. Now I keep this activity for your own understanding and your own practice. So you do this activity number 4 on your own at your home, because it's not so difficult. So I go ahead to activity number 5. Activity number 5. The use of personal pronoun I is evident and prominent in this poem. Give reasons. Now, as I had already told you that the personal pronoun I is used 16 times in this poem, and so its use is quite clear and prominent, and here you will have to explain why it is prominent and how it is prominent and evident. So once again I read this activity and I will tell you the answer. Activity number 5. The use of personal pronoun I is evident and prominent in this poem. Give reasons. Its answer is the repetition of the personal pronoun I occurs 16 times in as many lines of the poem. This shows us how the poet is fully in charge of his own life, his destiny, his actions, his decisions, and the consequences. The repeated use of I or the repeated use of the pronoun I shows that the poet is confident of himself and is able to take his life forward independently without the support of others. He will approach the future on his own strength. He seems assured of his own capabilities. And now the last activity, A5 activity. Now here A5 activity is, but we'll go for first activity from A5. With the help of the following points, write a poetic appreciation of the poem Song of the Open Road. And some points are given here, like about the poem, poet and the title. Second point, the theme. Third point, the poetic style. Then the fourth point, the next point is the language, poetic devices used in the poem. Then the next point is special features. Then another point is message, values, morals in the poem. And then you will have to write the poetic appreciation of this poem using all these points. So here I write, or I give you here my own poetic appreciation with the help of these points. Now see the poetic appreciation of the poem Song of the Open Road. The first point about the poem or poet and the title. The poem Song of the Open Road is written by the famous American poet, essayist, and the journalist Walt Whitman. He is often called the father of free verse. This poem is a very motivating poem. In the title of the poem, the word song indicates the cheerful mood of the speaker or the poet, and the words open road indicate the freedom. So the title of this poem, Song of the Open Road, is appropriate as per the themes of the poem. Now second point, the themes or themes. The major themes of the poem Song of the Open Road are freedom, joy, optimism, self-confidence, and positivity in life. Now third point, point number 3, poetic style. This poem is written in a free verse. This poem does not have rhyme and a regular rhythm. This poem is told from a first person point of view. Here, the poet or the speaker himself is speaking with the readers directly. Point number 4, the language and poetic devices. Now I have already explained you all the poetic devices and the line in this poem while explaining the poem in my earlier videos. We have already discussed the figures of speech in detail in my last video lecture, but still here just from the point of view of appreciation I give you the explanation. So fourth point, the language and poetic devices. The selection of words and the language used in this poem indicate the positivity, optimism, self-confidence, and cheerfulness of the poet or the speaker. This poem contains various figures of speech like alliteration, repetition, inversion, metaphor, climax, tautology, transferred epithet, and paradox, which increase the beauty of the poem. This poem contains the repetition of many words, which gives the emphasis to the ideas and the thoughts of the poet. The next point, point number 5, special features. The personal pronoun I occurs 16 times in this poem. This shows that the poet is confident himself and he is fully in charge of his life, his destiny, his actions, his decisions and consequences. Next point, number 6, message. This poem gives us the message that we must be always very positive, optimistic, punctual and satisfied, and never make any complaint and blame to others in our life regarding our inactions. And the last point, point number 7, opinion about the poem. Now it is my own opinion. The poem encourages us to be true to ourselves and live a free life. It inspires us to explore the world using our abilities. This poem tells us that comforts, complaints, criticisms and fate are not the excuses for one's inactions. This last sentence is very important. In this poem, the poet tells us that, or this poem tells us that comforts, complaints, criticisms and fate are not the excuses for one's inactions. So thus, friends, we have discussed all these activities in the brainstorming section in this poem. The remaining activities are to be done by you personally at your home. I am not taking all these activities. You do them at your home on your own. Here we should stop, and we stop here. In my next video lecture, I will start with the second poem, that is 2.2 Indian Weavers. Thank you so much and have a nice day.